Do not believe as if you are destined to live forever. What's fated hangs over you. As long as you live, and while you can, become good now. Marcus Aurelius. Alrighty, and with that, welcome back to another solo episode on my patio as I wake up on a Sunday morning of the Full Metal Cast. As we're going to roar through some of the things that caught my attention over the week or two that have passed. First things first, I think it's important to talk about Mr. Dexter Taylor, aka Carbon Mike, a man who was arrested, no-knock raided actually, by the ATF for manufacturing his own firearms legally by purchasing the unfinished receivers, milling them, and assembling his own firearms. So anyone who's created an 80% build doing that, it's perfectly legal, even in the shithole state of New York. However, the ATF and the state decided to look at that a little differently and take him as a political prisoner because Dexter Taylor, Carbon Mike, as he may be known by some of his followers, had such a devout following. The state had a lot to gain, let's just say, by tossing his ass in prison. And just like the airman that was gunned down by that incompetent fucking cop, you won't hear a bit about this. And that's supposed to mean a lot to anyone who likes to play tribes. Whatever angle it takes, I guess, to get some attention on this thing. But another example of the ATF just not adhering to the rules, the checks and balances, as the supporters of government and the state like to throw in, our faces when we say the government just do whatever they want. We don't really have any recourse, and everyone's like, oh, well, the branches and, the justice system and all that stuff. No. The ATF just decided they can kick his door down and run up on him just because they felt like it. And they locked him up in Rikers without any sort of defense, without any sort of trial or anything. And that's horseshit, and that should concern every single one of you because he wasn't doing anything illegal. So Dexter Taylor, Carbon Mike, look him up, see his story, see what he was up to, what he was doing, and where he's at now, because that's a very important thing that is playing out. Less so important, and speaking of Ukraine, the video going around of Mr. Blinken on stage playing Rockin' in the Free World in a Ukrainian bar. Let's talk about it. I'm all for everyone having hobbies, even those in jobs, Jobs as silly and as useless and as pointless as politicians, especially, you should be playing hobbies because, that means you're doing less to step on my neck. However, Mr. Blinken, it is not a great look to be such a war hawk and to be funneling so much of our hard-earned money that is worth so little now and preventing so many of us from purchasing homes and making reaching other milestones in life, if you will. And you have to be so tone deaf or just straight up fucking retarded, which I know you are, but benefit of the doubt, we'll just say you're tone deaf now, I guess, to think that's a good fucking idea. And that sort of act goes hand in hand with the fucking videos and the images you see of all the people in Congress or the Senate, whatever the fuck it was, after they passed the bill for more funding for Ukraine, where they're all waving that gay little flag around. It's the same fucking image. It's the same fucking thing. They're having fun. They're supporting another country other than their own because they know they're not going to get any support from anybody here. So they're just going to seek approval wherever it is. If it's in the mean of sending billions of dollars overseas to said country, maybe it's not even from that country. Maybe it's just from the military contractors. But either way, it ain't to you and to I. They're not seeking our approval, and that's become extremely fucking clear. I like to see Mr. Blinken, plug in at a nice little bar around here, anywhere, honestly, for that matter, and try pulling that shit off. And actually, if you took that performance, let's just say, and put it in any bar in America, a red state, a blue state, a centrist state, it would not go over well at all. Because either one, they're going to absolutely hate the fact that Blinken is there playing guitar because political sides, or two, the song itself isn't going to go over particularly well in whatever fucking state. he decides to play it, and if it's a state that may support Mr. Blinken, let's just put it like that. And the centrists just won't show up because they don't give a fuck at all. So that was funny just to sort of consider and to play around with. But also, what the fuck are you doing, man? Life's pretty good for you if you can send billions of other people's dollars to another war-torn country, allegedly, that needs the money to fend off the tyrannical empire at its door. For you just to be able to walk into any old bar there and just play the guitar safely, or feeling pretty confident that you're going to be safe the entire time. Something to consider. And I guess on the topic of political sides, let's just say, the campus protests. I know there's less coming out about them now. They're being brought up in, graduation, commencement speeches and whatnot, with walkouts, or, even the speakers talking about it. But one thing I've found, or have been seeing, sort of as these fizzle out, or as, they're being talked about more, is propaganda. And I'm calling it propaganda because I've seen it in the form mostly of political comments, or comics rather. And I saw one that I took a screenshot of because it was like the 4th or 5th one I've seen since, cops started descending on the protesters. And my, does it feel good to be on the other side of this argument now? But it's essentially the left is saying that the right is stamping out their freedom of speech. Ironic, as someone who is in the firearms community. Also just the point of common sense and of science, especially when we look back at what happened to the world around late 2019, early 2020. We can go there if we really want, but I really want to ask, who the fuck is actually buying into this? Who the fuck actually think it's the right stepping on the throat of the left and silencing the left here? It's no fucking secret that both sides support sending money to Israel. It's just like Ukraine. And even furthermore, it's not even on this issue either. It's not a matter of left versus right. It never has been. It's the state versus the people subjected to the state. It's the haves versus the have-nots. And I know it's nobody who does actually believe this. It is the state, or it is, whoever's trolling, or whoever's just trying to sow the seeds of dissent to sort of drive more divide ahead of an election, maybe, or just in general, because this is what the state does best. It's better for business for them if we're divided. And I can only say, whenever you see something like this, and any protest or anything in general, I really don't care. I really have no desire to get involved or to choose a side, because I don't give a flying fuck about what my fellow man is doing, so long as they're not actively, infringing upon the natural rights of others, I guess we'll just say. My mind's always going to go to, how is the state involved, and why should I hate them for that? I'm not going to hate my fellow man, because at the end of the day, I need my fellow man. I don't care, red, blue, left, right, whatever your religion, sexual orientation, skin color, whatever the fuck, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all equals. We were all born with the same natural rights, so long as you respect the natural rights of the man and the woman next to you. So it's not about going at each other's throats. It's not about proving who's right or who's wrong to each other. It's about, how the fuck do you remove the boot that is currently on your throat? And I do think, and I hope at least, maybe the college protests were one way to sort of help with that. Sort of like how, and as crazy as it is, the Summer of Love, riot season back in 2020. Also, this bird is losing its fucking mind behind me. Whatever. Sort of raised awareness to maybe some of these shortcomings of the police force, and we see it now. I'm not saying it's the right way to go about it, obviously. I don't think burning your fellow man's businesses and whatnot is the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, you see more people sort of calling out cops that are doing the wrong thing. You see more videos, more people talking about it on the left and the right, I guess, if you will, people who may identify with, both, either side. They're both more open to saying, yeah, they're incompetent, they're fucking up, they really don't know what they're doing, and they're definitely not the most fit to protect and serve us very clearly. So I'm hoping that the college demonstrations and the state's responses to said demonstrations helps lead to a similar sort of epiphany, I'm hoping. And on that note, regarding left and right, this one I loved because it turns out that the state of Texas has done a few things lately that really kind of made me scratch my head. Obviously, their response to the protesters, not great. And on top of that, I got to try to find this article too before I get into the one I'm looking at right now. But they had said they would deny flood insurance, maybe it was, to people who didn't support Israel or made anti-Semitic statements. It was something completely fucking retarded like that. I'll have to go back and look. And actually, I'm going to go walk up to this tree of birds because I need to know what's going on here. Okay. With a shake of the tree, they left. That was crazy. Oh, what do I have on me now? Interesting. Maybe little cicadas. Or katydids. I think they were little katydids, rather. Alright. Back to business. With that, those rude neighbors now evicted. That's right, I do not respect the freedom of speech of my rude bird neighbors. But yes, I've read something somewhere, as I chug some more coffee, Texas would deny some sort of insurance or coverage or refund or whatever the fuck it was for someone who made anti-Semitic comments. I'll find the article. So that's great. But this one, off the heels of that, it came up earlier this week. A court blocks credit card fee cap. And the rest of the sort of summary of the article goes on to say, a government limit on credit card late fees set to go into effect this week has been put on hold by a federal judge in Texas. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau issued the rule in March as part of an effort to eliminate junk fees and help alleviate the pressure of high prices and interest rates. It was challenged by business groups who argued it would lead to more late payments and credit card debt. The CFPB estimates the proposed $8 limit would save consumers and cost the card industry $10 billion a year. So Texas and the courts in Texas standing up with the side of the banks and the credit card companies, and not you. So that's 3 strikes in less than a month if we're looking at Texas for doing some things not very cash money or in the interests of, your freedom and your ability to live a good life. And I'd really look into that if I were you, because it sort of goes to prove the point that you don't believe in people, and you definitely not people in government for that matter. You believe in ideas. And that's how you avoid falling into the trap of being disillusioned or, getting hoodwinked. It's very easy to say, oh, Texas is all for freedom. They're all rah, rah, go get them. America, freedom, guns, all that stuff. And I was the same way, too. I love Texas for that reason. And I still do. Don't get me wrong. But the politicians there are going to do what they do best. What all politicians do best, and that is look out for themselves and their own interests. And so whether that be, I'm not going to go to the first one, but whether that be making sure that their good old buddies in the credit card and banking industry get their back scratched every now and then at your expense at, a time where personal finances and the economy are a heightened topic of interest, I think that says a lot. So just keep that in mind when you're saying go red, go blue, vote this way, vote that way, no matter what. They don't give a shit about you. Anywho, please hold. Got someone walking by. I can't be scaring the hose out here. Someone taking their dog out. I live right by the dog sort of park here, so people are going to walk past. I move in a couple weeks, actually, so at some point I'll be in my own yard or in my own house. I'll have my own studio room. Very excited for that. But anyway, she's far away now. After I saw the Texas thing, another article popped up on my feed. Miss Melinda Gates is stepping down from the charitable Gates Foundation to quote-unquote move forward into the next chapter of my philanthropy, she said in a statement. She co-founded the influential foundation with her former husband, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, She co-founded it with Gates. Under their divorce agreement, she leaves with $12.5 billion to commit to quote-unquote commit to my work on behalf of women and families. Well, I find it kind of interesting that it wasn't until this week she decided to step down as being a member of the Gates Foundation to further her work with women and children, which is ironic because all the Gates Foundation seems to do, if you read about it, is just run experiments on women and children in Africa that harken back to a certain group in the around the 40s, let's just say, in a European country, systematically killing and rendering them unable to bear children. That's sort of like the record that they're going for there. Like if you look at, how their batting average, that's like the typical result of the experiments they're running off there. And oh yeah, her husband's very big on just controlling the population via like population control as far as like numbers go. He thinks the world's overpopulated, and so he thinks that preventing kids from having children, and yes, even killing off people, is very much warranted. That's what the Gates Foundation has really been doing in developing worlds like Africa. It's well documented. There's many court cases and public information you can look into on that. All of the drugs that have been banned here, that have had class action lawsuits run them out of town here because they are extremely harmful, get pushed there no problem because no one's there to stop them. So can't wait to see what Miss Gates does here and abroad for women and children. I say it's surprising that she stood on there for so long because she was so shocked about... Hold, please. More dog drama. Because she was so shocked to find out about her husband's travel plans with a certain Mr. Epstein, but she had no problem sticking on the Gates Foundation, probably reaping in a paycheck while feeling like she was doing good for the world while only raping a developing country. So, respectfully, Mr. and Mrs. Gates, go fuck yourselves. On to Uncle Ted's Corner, one of my favorite segments, heavily AI dominated this week. AI has been obviously dominating the news here. I may need to step inside. I think I'm turning a little red, actually. I'm the whitest white boy right now, so I don't have a base burn. I don't have a base tan. Let me hit the pause button on this, and I'll be right back. All right, back inside, away from the deadly laser that is the sun. Uncle Ted's Corner, though. Like I was saying, first things first, the risk team has been disbanded at OpenAI. News sort of follows the departures of two leading safety researchers at OpenAI. The risk team, which focused on long-term and existential threats that could be posed by artificial intelligence, was co-headed by Jan Lakey, who resigned shortly after co-founder and chief scientist Ilya Sutskever, I don't know, said Tuesday he was also leaving the AI startup. According to Wired, 5 other researchers left or were fired in the 5 months since CEO Altman was outed and then swiftly reinstated last November, and the remaining researchers have now been moved to other teams. Interesting. This reads to me more like that we are moving away from ethically developing AI and more so into the profit-generating focus, not really caring about the negatives that could follow on the development of this technology, which typical, I guess. But Microsoft is also somehow tied into this, I know, not to keep Gates bashing here. I know when there was news of Altman leaving OpenAI and stock prices were tanking, there's a quick move to reinstate him. And I believe I recall seeing Microsoft involved in that, I think. But yeah, here we go again, throwing logic and safety and the betterment of people in general to the wind in exchange for profits. So keep that in mind, I guess, whenever looking at something or whenever using an AI product or something that could potentially be AI. Just like government corporations, it's not in their best interest to have your best interest in mind. Let's just put it like that. So the biggest AI startup, as far as I can really fathom, got rid of the team, looking at the risks that could be posed by developing the very thing that's making them so much money. Again, on the topic of AI, Gannett, I think that's how you say it, debuts AI article summaries, and I won't read the whole article here. Yeah, this is not an AI summary. This is a real person summary. Excuse me. Basically, what the newspaper is going to do is that it's going to let the AI summarize, larger articles throughout the paper into a few bullet points. The big sort of talking points about each article, making it easier and faster to digest. Now, knowing what we know about Google, about Facebook, about even just journalists, quote unquote, in general, and the companies that hire them. There's not a single objective voice out there right now. Everyone's got an angle, everyone's got a narrative to push, and everyone has stakeholders to answer to. And so for that reason, just like how the articles are never going to be objectively true, I would imagine that the AI summarizing them isn't going to be either. Now, I don't think the AI summary is going to stray necessarily from what is in the article, but just something to keep in mind. Just because it says it's AI, summarized or generated, doesn't grant it any more, credence or, I guess, legitimacy, if you will. If it's a BuzzFeed article, it's still a BuzzFeed article. It doesn't matter if a super smart computer program took a look at it and summarized it for your tiny little feeble mind to better understand the complex natures of, what skin which you are based on the month you're born. So I just thought that was a little silly. And are we just that dumb now too? We don't have time to read articles. Has TikTok and Instagram and YouTube just melted our brains to the point where, 60 seconds or less now, I think even, is our attention span. And so articles and entire news stories need to be chopped down into a few bullet points. I'm not saying it's not convenient. I'm not saying it's not nice. But it's definitely an area of concern because you lose a lot of the nuance involved in human issues that the news and articles are really supposed to talk about. And I can already see you're going to have a couple of coffee shop experts running around saying, they know all there is to know about, firearm regulation or laws because ChatGPT or Gannett GPT, whatever the fuck they're going to call it, summarized an article. Well, actually, I already know that article is not going to know fucking everything, but this will just basically give more people a sense of false entitlement to speak confidently on topics they know nothing about. So that's something. And in other news, this may be something that we already do know. Apple is launching eye tracking tech. And I'll read this one a little bit more because there is some nuance to this. But Apple has announced a new accessibility feature coming later this year for the iPhone and iPad. The tech giant will add eye tracking technology to both to help people with physical disabilities, with users able to control their devices by looking at the screen's front-facing camera and selecting an option by lingering on it. Other innovations include vocal shortcuts, music haptics for people who have hearing issues, and updates to CarPlay for drivers with disabilities. The announcement comes as the world marks Global Accessibility Awareness Day on Thursday. And some of the sub-bullet points to this article say Google has announced an array of new features, including one that detects the moment your phone is snatched from your hands. Odd. And some of the other updates will only be available in the fall with the iOS 18 release. Okay, we knew they track us. We know they listen to us. We know that they look at us through our cameras without our consent. So this isn't really too shocking, I suppose, to know the eye tracking is happening. One thing I would be cognizant of, maybe, because we know that car companies already sell your data to insurance companies without you asking and without paying you anything for that. And actually that fucks you double because the insurance company is only going to raise your rates or your premium based on the data that is sent from the manufacturer to them. They certainly won't lower it because you already don't know that they have your data or information. So I would be very careful where maybe you mount your phone in the fall of this year once you get the new iPhone update. Because you better believe that the insurance companies are probably going to be knocking on Apple's door, asking for some eye tracking on where your eyes may be while driving your car. And if it's on their phone for more than 0.1 seconds, I'd probably expect your rates to start incrementally inching up, whether the car's moving or not. Because again, you won't know that they have the data. They're just going to use it to fuck you. So yeah, just something to keep in mind in the iOS update this fall, that they're going to be able to track your eyes. And whether it's a feature you can turn on or not, it's still probably going to do it anyways. So just keep that in mind. And I don't know if this qualifies as Uncle Ted's Corner. It's sort of a borderline topic here. But again, I'm on LinkedIn most of the time for my job. This is the nature of my job. And I came across a post that had an insane amount of interactions, comments, likes, shares, reposts. And excuse me as I take a sip of my coffee at an inappropriate time. It was made by an individual who was fired by Meta before he even started. I'm not going to share the dude's name. I messaged him, saying, thank you for sharing the experience, very eye-opening. Asked if he wanted to just come on a podcast, did not out myself yet, to which he completely ghosted me and then joined another podcast. So that's fine. But so I won't put his name out there. But anyways, the post goes on to say, Meta fired me before I even started. Meta recruited me to lead their human exploitation investigations. My job was to prevent real-world harm from crimes like sextortion and trafficking. I was supposed to start Monday. This was 4 days ago at the time I found it, but it's from last week. But moments after hosting a webinar to combat the surge of sextortion targeting minors and hearing from the parents of children who were killed by this crime, I got the phone call regarding my offer. Meta sought my expertise after I exposed how cybercriminals are using a vast network of fake Instagram accounts to blackmail tens of thousands of teens with sextortion schemes, driving dozens of victims to suicide. Yet they rescinded the offer, evidently for the same exact reason. Feels like retaliation. I'll be okay, but the tens of thousands of people currently being exploited on Meta platforms won't be. And he screenshotted, like the base individual that he is, the actual email sent by Meta, and it says, hey, so-and-so, following up from our phone conversation to confirm your offer of employment, Meta has been rescinded, effective immediately. Thank you for your interest. Cheers, Bobby, the core business and operations recruiting person at Meta, 250 Howard Street, San Francisco, California, 94105. His mobile number starts with 917-434, and I think I can actually pull this dude's phone number. He tried to black it out. Yeah, for someone who's supposed to be a really great computer guy, he didn't do a really good job at blocking out this Meta dude's phone number. Yeah, his full phone number looks to be 917-434-5932. So go give Bobby at Meta a call if you want. I don't give a shit. But yeah, we all know, being in the space that we are in and seeing how our free speech is suppressed on these platforms, we already know it's not about safety. It's not about mental health. They don't give a shit about the community, the users. No. You are a cash cow for advertising. That is all that you are. And if you threaten that sort of ecosystem that allows the money to flow freely into the pockets only of Meta, you don't get to say what you want to say. No, regardless of how true it is, regardless of how healthy of a lifestyle it promotes, regardless of how objectively good that it is. It does not matter. And so, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is supposedly from the expert, and he has done many talks, webinars, podcasts on this topic, of the guy who knows and has talked to and seen the victims of the crimes that are perpetuated using the Meta platforms, which should be very easy to shut down. I mean, how many fucking fake accounts do you get every day of fake OnlyFans or fake, follow this account, 18 plus, get nude sort of thing? How many of those do you get a week? I can tell you, as a business account, I get a lot, and it's alarming. Every time I get one, I block and report it. I block and report it. I block and report it. And they don't stop. They just keep coming. And yet somehow they're allowed to keep coming. How hard can it be to sense the trend? If we're going to even use AI, you have AI now, right? All of these accounts have a very similar sort of makeup, let's just say. They look the same. They sound the same. They're probably being created by the same device or within the same vicinity of, similar devices in certain countries or zip codes or geos, like you can start flagging suspicious accounts and you can start shutting them down at their inception. But no, instead, we're going to completely prevent people from logging in to their devices and accessing Instagram, i.e. CBernard, i.e. BR the Anarch, i.e. any other firearms related page lately. Some of them have not, they've been completely banned. Their devices have been banned, and it took weeks, if not months, to get them back. So it's not about safety. It's not about mental health. They don't give a shit about the tens of thousands of children, according to this guy, who are killing themselves every day because of the fake accounts that they allow to thrive. But and I'm guilty of it too. I'm on the platform. I help that cash cow grow fatter for them every day, even while trying to fight the good fight, quote unquote. And maybe that's something to consider, to be better and to find a better solution. I know Twitter exists. It seems to still be a bit of a wild west, not really sure, like unsettled land, how it's going to look as far as content goes. It's not as, the dopamine doesn't fire as much on Twitter. Let's just be real, ingesting information on that little 2x2 screen in picture or video format is highly appealing to the human brain and the eyes. I think that's why the user count and the number of eyes on Instagram is always going to be higher than a Twitter. But that's why TikTok threatened it so much as well, right? They took that and just made it even more addictive. So yeah, Twitter, as businesses in this space sort of go, we're still figuring it out. I'd like to see it thrive, and I don't know what you think about Musk. I don't really care what you say. I don't really believe in people, but the idea of a social media outlet that is just run like the Wild West sounds a lot better to me than whatever the fuck we have today. But enough about that. That's not something, social media and technology that everyone really cares about. Just wanted to throw Meta under the bus here for not giving a shit about kids or mental health or people killing themselves. So you have that now. Anywho, personal news. Let's see. I had the 100% off coupon shirts arrived at my door yesterday. This comes after USPS lost them, and I thought for sure I was never going to get them, but by some miracle, they showed up at my doorstep. So I'm dishing those out now, hoping to have them packaged and shipped by Monday, which is tomorrow. So that's exciting. I'm also working on some other things here. One, I'm not going to say over the air just yet. And I'm also playing with designs for like an oversized sort of like pump cover shirt that also would work very well as like an EDC, like concealed carry shirt. Heavyweight, bigger, baggier. So playing around with that. I may throw a poll up to vote which, design looks best. But let's see. The election BS, we already know about it. I talked about the immigration stuff, the campus stuff, ad nauseum, inflation and whatnot. It is kind of funny though. It looks like the Fed may be cutting rates just before an election, like I called it. And for those who aren't paying attention, because of COVID, inflation has just been through the roof, and the Fed has been raising interest rates to sort of prevent people from spending or borrowing money to help knock inflation down. As crazy as that sounds, that's how the government and the Fed and the economy work today. And the way that employment and spending and manufacturing stats were looking, article after article were saying, it looks like, this year the Fed aren't going to cut rates. In fact, they may even raise rates. And everyone who had half a brain has been saying since 22 and 23, the Fed's going to cut rates at least once before an election. And even last month and the month before, we got, economic data that hinted at the Fed not raising rates, for a long time. But sure as shit, this week we had some data coming out and the market went ballistic because now there's an expectation for the Fed to cut rates. And again, just in time before an election. So take that with a grain of salt and think about that however you wish. But as someone who it doesn't make sense to purchase a house where I'd like to live because of this environment, that sucks. But again, we are subjected to certain evils that are outside of our control. Those are the externals, as the Stoics tell us about, and you can't become slaves to your externals. And so we find ways around it and find ways to enjoy life to the fullest. And sort of on that note, a couple of the guys were able to come over this weekend and hang out, spend some quality time with the boys, drank, smoked some cigars, played darts. I'm not good at darts, but goddamn, I love playing darts. There's a shitty dive bar not far from where I live, and so we'll meet here, hit that dive bar, and I think collectively must have played 6 hours of darts total this weekend with just the boys. And we definitely get some looks walking into a bar. It is I said it last night, it is the most stereotypical group of just guys, and then you take it down another level, guys who like guns, because everyone's wearing a black t-shirt, white text, or white print, right? And someone either has like a multicam hat or someone's just straight up wearing cries in the bar. But that's fun. We're just hanging out, we're talking, we're shooting the shit, we're having a good time. That's what it's about. Don't make going to the bar every night and playing darts your identity, though. That's not healthy. It's a weekend thing. It's a fun weekend thing. Have fun, after you've gone to the gym, after you've trained, after your finances and your house are in order. Like, find little things to have fun with in life, Live a healthy lifestyle, live a productive lifestyle, live a moral lifestyle. And you can do all of that while still having fun and enjoying life. That's part of your purpose. No matter how crazy the world gets, no matter what, while you can, and you still can, have some fun. Morally, of course, but have some fun. It's good for you. Trust me. Let's see. I sort of rip-roared through the topics there. Don't think of firearm news to go over. Yep. The AK-50 was successful. I saw that video. Very cool. I don't know. I don't think I have any news here on the firearm front. I was hoping I wasn't even supposed to be recording actually this weekend. I was supposed to be shooting yesterday and or today at this time. However, after playing darts for so long on Friday, we got hit with just a wicked storm cell, and there's like no wind, so it just lingered for a long time. And so when I got home, after grabbing some food, after drinking and playing some darts, I took a step in my bathroom, and just freezing cold water has just completely soaked the floor. Like, I'm stepping in like an inch of water. And immediately I'm like, okay, there's no way I stepped out of the shower like this, but nope. Turns out my light fixture unlocked a premium feature in which it now doubles as a water feature right over my toilet. So, yep. Somewhere on the roof of this unit, there's a hole, I think it's by an AC unit actually, where water is gathering and like falling down, and it is right over my bathroom. And so I have water coming through my ceiling still to this day. It's been 2 days since. No one's come out and fixed it. One of the maintenance guys here looked at it and said they called a guy, but we'll see. So that's cool. I've been sitting here babysitting people who are coming by to look at the roof and my bathroom. So that's why I'm stuck here. But I'm hoping to get outside and, I was going to go to the gym today. I believe it's Sunday yoga today, which I enjoy greatly. But I think I'm actually going to do some self-guided yoga outside in this 85-degree day, which I absolutely love, before I have to go tour a house. That's right, because I am moving. I'm touring a house today in a couple hours now. So yeah. Don't really know how to end that one. Let's think. How do we want to sign off on this one here? I think the main takeaway of this one was, don't believe in people, don't believe in governments, don't believe in corporations, for God's sake. Believe in ideas. And that's sort of how you avoid falling into the sucker's folly. That's very much in accordance with one of the pillars, beware the frailty of man. Because people are flawed. They're going to be flawed. They're predictably selfish at times. Not always, but especially when acting in a corporation or in a government. Very predictable how things are going to go, unfortunately for us. So don't have faith in, those people or those institutions. Have faith in morally strong ideas. Natural rights is the one of my choice that I love defaulting back to every single time. And yes, let the protests, let the Gates Foundation, let the state of Texas even act as a reminder that it doesn't matter which side, your institution, your government, your person may identify with. They'll throw you under the bus and they'll stab you in the back for their own longevity or their own profits the second they get the chance to, because they don't owe you anything. They don't know you, you don't know them. And so to look out for yourself, it is in your best interest to simply use proper, strong, moral ideas as your guiding compass and your star. And if you want to play tribe, and if you want to root, for whatever team that you support more than the other one, make it the one of natural rights or something similar to that. Don't make it some political idea that is just used as a lever when it comes time to garner votes. And here comes a hot take, actually. Abortion is one of those levers, but also so is gun rights. So if you are going to be, I am the gun rights guy, it's simply used as a lever, as a point of leverage and a tool to rally the troops of either side to garner votes. And that may sting a bit. That may cause some reflection inwards, I guess. And I came to that realization as well very quickly around the time of the brace ban, around the time of the pump stock ban brought to you by a certain president that everyone loves so much, but seemingly everyone forgets that he passed the most invasive or overreaching gun legislation since the original assault weapons ban. It's tough. I don't like identifying with that cause or just that cause only. Like, I vote on the side of X. Like, yes, that's good objectively, but at the same time, you're playing politics, right? Of a certain side. And so natural rights tends to be, for me at least, the one that is very blanket. It's very objective, and there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all solution, but natural rights in this sort of aspect, as far as what is the right way to go, really can't be wrong, which is crazy to think about, because I have a right to defend myself. We're just going to use the gun right debate here. I have the right to defend myself. No body of man or document can determine what is adequate for me personally. That spits in the face of most politicians, no matter what side you're on of the gun debate, really. Just one example there. I don't have the mental capacity this morning, I guess, to really break that down further, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be able to do that justice. I just realized as I was trying to limp through that. But yeah, to, I guess, summarize the rambling I just went on there, ideas, good ideas, moral ideas, not people, not government, not institutions, not corporations. No crowns, no rulers or warlords. They're all flawed. They're all going to fail at some point. There's not a single one that is adequate enough to cater to your needs as an individual human being. Only you can do that. And that sort of harkens back to no one is coming. It's up to us. It's up to you to be self-excellent, to strive for and practice self-excellence, and to protect your own natural rights. Because again, at the end of the day, there's never going to be somebody, some group of people, a business, a government, that creates a solution that is perfectly tailored to you. And because you have natural rights, you deserve that perfect solution, but only you can harness that. Only you can create that. Only you can deliver that for yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends. So go forth, strive for self-excellence, and be that perfect solution for you, your community, and your loved ones. And we'll end it there. That's good.